Imagine a nation that survived devastating earthquakes, deadly tsunamis, civil wars, atomic bombs, and complete destruction, yet somehow rose to become one of the most powerful and technologically advanced countries on Earth. A land where ancient samurai traditions coexist with futuristic cities. A place where emperors ruled for more than 2,000 years while warriors, shoguns, and modern politicians fought for power behind the scenes. This is the incredible story of Japan. From mysterious prehistoric tribes to the rise of the samurai. From isolation to empire. From the ashes of World War II to becoming a global superpower. This is the entire history of Japan. Long before Tokyo's skyscrapers and bullet trains, Japan was a wild chain of islands inhabited by hunter-gatherers. Archaeologists believe humans first arrived in Japan over 30,000 years ago. These early people lived during the Ice Age. One of the most fascinating ancient cultures was known as the Jomon people. The Jomon lived in Japan for thousands of years and created some of the world's oldest pottery. Their name literally means, cord-marked, referring to the patterns they pressed into clay. For centuries they hunted deer, boar, and fish while living in small villages. But around 300 BC, everything changed. A new group of people arrived from mainland Asia. They brought rice farming, metal tools, and new technologies. Historians call them the Yayoi people. Rice agriculture transformed Japan forever. Villages became larger. Society became more organized, and powerful leaders began to emerge. The foundations of Japanese civilization had been laid. By the 3rd century AD, dozens of small kingdoms competed for power. According to Japanese tradition, the first emperor was Emperor Jomon. Legend claims he founded Japan in 660 BC. Although historians debate the accuracy of this story, it remains a central part of Japanese identity. Over time, one royal family gained dominance. This family would become the Imperial House of Japan. Remarkably, it remains the world's oldest continuous monarchy. During the Kofun period, giant burial mounds appeared across Japan. Some were larger than the pyramids of Egypt in terms of land area. These massive tombs revealed the growing power of Japan's rulers. As Japan expanded, it looked toward China and Korea for inspiration. Chinese writing, Buddhism, government systems, and cultural traditions entered Japan. These foreign influences would shape Japanese civilization for centuries. By the 700s, Japan established its capital at Nara. Later, the capital moved to Heian-kyo, modern-day Kyoto. This period became one of the most elegant eras in Japanese history. The imperial court flourished. Art, poetry, literature, and culture reached extraordinary heights. Noble families competed through beauty, fashion, and intellectual achievements. One woman, Murasaki Shikibu, wrote what many consider the world's first novel, The Tale of Genji, while aristocrats enjoyed.
During this era, giant keyhole-shaped tombs called kofun were built for powerful rulers, and Japan began absorbing massive cultural influence from China and Korea, including Buddhism, which arrived around the 6th century and would soon reshape Japanese art, politics, and philosophy alongside the native religion, Shinto. In 710 CE, Japan established its first permanent capital at Nara, modeled directly on the grand Chinese city of Chang'an. Buddhism flourished, massive temples were constructed, and centralized government, heavily inspired by China, took shape. In 794, the capital moved to Heian-kyo, the city we now know as Kyoto, beginning the Heian period, one of the most culturally rich eras in Japanese history. This was the age of elegant court poetry, elaborate silk robes, and refined aristocratic life. It even produced what many consider the world's first novel, The Tale of Genji, written around the year 1000 by a noblewoman known as Murasaki Shikibu. But while the aristocrats in the capital wrote poetry, something dangerous was growing in the countryside: private armies. As noble families expanded their estates, they hired warriors to protect their land. Over time, these warriors evolved into a powerful, disciplined class, the samurai. In 1185, after a bloody civil war known as the Genpei War, the samurai warlord Minamoto no Yoritomo seized power and became Japan's first shogun, a military dictator ruling in the emperor's name. This began the Kamakura shogunate and a new political reality. The emperor would remain a sacred figurehead, but real power now belonged to whichever warrior clan controlled the military government. This era also saw one of history's most dramatic near misses, the Mongol invasions. Twice, Kublai Khan's fleets attempted to conquer Japan, and twice, typhoons destroyed the invading ships. The Japanese called these storms kamikaze, divine wind, a term that would tragically resurface 7 centuries later. By the 1400s, the shogunate's power crumbled, and Japan fractured into over 250 territories, each ruled by a warlord called a daimyo. This was the Sengoku Jidai, the Warring States period, over a century of near-constant civil war. 3 legendary figures would eventually reunify the country: Oda Nobunaga, a ruthless, innovative warlord who was among the first to use European firearms in Japanese warfare, and who conquered nearly a third of Japan before being betrayed by his own general; Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a peasant-born genius who rose to become Nobunaga's successor and completed the unification of Japan; and finally Tokugawa Ieyasu, the patient strategist who outlasted them all, and in 1600 won the decisive Battle of Sekigahara, becoming the undisputed master of Jade.